Okay, is there anyone who wants to do any public speak? Anyone out
No
there?
hands raised?
No? Okay, thank you. I have a couple of announcements. I went to the chairs meeting yesterday and learned some very interesting things. I apologize that I hadn't given you more warning about the conflict of interest form. There is both a conflict of interest form for 2025, and then as soon as you finish that one, you have to do another one for 2026. But the 2026 one is it's a rotating date, and ours probably isn't due until maybe March or April. But hopefully, all of you did get the last one in, and I didn't, as a new person, I don't know that we talked about this, it's in the little packet.
Okay.
About filing, you have to register for the conflict of interest form with the state, and then even though we're not employees, we all, as volunteers, have to fill it out. And you have to go through a little training, and they give you little videos and then ask you questions, and then you get a certificate. So Molly used to get the list for all the volunteers and then could send it out and say, hey, you didn't do one, but she doesn't do that anymore. So it's the responsibility of the chairs to kind of rattle the cage a little bit. So if you have any trouble, you can probably call Molly. But the link is on that, it's on the website, the town website, and it's also in our orientation booklet.
Okay, so just go on the town website,
Yeah, conflict of
get the
interest.
link and
Right.
fill it out.
Right.
So at the end of the training, they have a certificate that we
Yes.
can print. Do you want
Yes.
copies of those?
No, I just believe you.
Oh, okay.
You can put it up on your wall if you like. Okay, so the state now is monitoring, and that we all need to do it, but we all do need to do it. So, yeah. Another announcement, those of you who watch the select board, maybe you know this, but I thought it was very interesting for the Human Services Committee. The town has passed a year-round child care stipend of $7,000 to give to any resident. You don't have to be poor, you don't have to be working, you just have to be a resident with a child. And they will pay, the town will pay the provider directly, and it's from birth to 4-year-olds. So it's a wonderful benefit that our town is doing. Some of the other towns are doing it. The select board passed it. Alex is the coordinator of it, and I think it's terrific. So, you know, good thing to know about what our town is doing. The other announcement that came out is the annual budget schedule about when the articles have to get ready for the spring meeting. And our deadline is probably different because we're going under the Department of Health. So if Alex comes, we'll ask her what it is. But I think we should try to see mid-February as probably our deadline for going forward with the applications. Which brings us to the last announcement, which is that it is likely that we will still have some additional dollars in our allocation that has not been given out through the grant process. So we may still want to see if there's anybody out there. Still haven't gotten the toys
Really?
thing.
Is Alex coming to the,
I thought she was coming. We can ask her again, but it's not on our list.
because I know that the woman that runs that toy library had communications with Alex. So
Yes.
I did wonder whether there were qualifying obstacles for them.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe they didn't meet that. And it might be just serving Orleans residents. I don't know how many
No.
Orleans residents are using that toy
Yeah.
library.
No, that's okay. We asked that question, but many of the organizations serve Orleans.
I'm
and
surprised
others.
because she's a really diligent fundraiser.
Yeah. Well, if Alex doesn't come, I'll write to her. I thought she would come, but it's not on our list as of today, right?
Right, I checked this morning right before.
Yeah. And so if any of you want to reach out to anybody, we still have time to review.
How much money is left approximately?
15,000? What is it, 180?
Doesn't, I mean, just round,
Yeah.
We're at 185.7
185.
right now, so we have about $14,300
Mhm.
left.
So if anybody wants to, we still are going to be doing a review 2 weeks from now, so if anybody wants to encourage any nonprofit to please come, please come.
Can I ask a question too?
Yes.
the way the financial system works is come June 30th, that money gets turned back into the general fund, right?
Yes,
So if you had, let's say, an applicant that showed up in April,
yes.
you could consider that application
Yes.
and have money for it.
That's right. This time, this is the very first time we have this rolling system. We used to have a final deadline, but that's possible. And we could be called back together if an application comes in to consider it.
So I don't understand how that works. If we have to have our recommendations
Mhm.
to Alex by mid-February, how does the April one get put in
They
there?
amend their budget request.
Oh.
I think she
But,
can.
but I think you're working on the budget that's already been approved, right? It was this is the
Yes.
budget approved last
Yes,
June or May, and so that $200,000 is in your allotment for the present fiscal year.
that's right.
And so there is no changing of budgets. If you spent the full $200,000, there'd be no
There'd be
budget
no change. If there's less, then
Then it just gets turned back.
that's right.
But we're funding for the next fiscal year. All these applications are for FY '27.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm off
So-
by a year. But if you're doing that, how do you know that the amount is 200,000?
200,000.
Because that hasn't gone to town, for the fiscal year that starts July 1, we haven't had town meeting for that yet.
Right, I think it was, Alex just said it would be the same as last year.
Right.
So-
That's our expectation.
So I could be wrong about that. It might be that you're granting money that won't actually technically be approved.
Until it's approved.
Town meeting in May.
That's right, that's right.
Okay.
But the expectation is that that's what's in her budget for us.
Wouldn't we still rub up against the warrant deadline if something comes in late?
Well, yes, except that's what I'm saying, but it's her budget, it's in her department. It isn't really like we have to do a
Oh.
warrant. We used to do it independently.
Right.
But now we're under the
Okay.
Department of Health, so it's in her budget. And I think they've got some wiggle room about how to move things around until the budget's printed. Yeah. And then the other thing that was said at the chair's meeting, and you can clarify this, he was chairing the chair's meeting, is that now it's all gonna be online. The budget's gonna be all online, and everybody can look at everything inside the entire town budget. I guess that wasn't done until it was printed, or maybe ever, but now it's
No.
gonna be online.
This is, they're having a, they're moving the accounting finance system from open to what it is now, to OpenGov it's called.
Mhm.
And OpenGov is gonna allow it to all be online and
Right.
anybody can get in to look at it.
Right, so that's gonna be great. Okay, two other quick announcements. As I struggled to read these applications after I downloaded it, and I know you mentioned it's the last time, that the boxes don't expand, so the font gets so small that I literally have to read with a magnifying glass. So I sent a note to Mia. I know we had asked Alex to do this, but she's got a lot of things on her mind, so I wrote a note to Mia. She's away until tomorrow, but she gave me the name of an IT person in the town, and that, I wrote to that
Peggy?
person and asked, no, it's a guy, a name I never heard of.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
right
there?
across the hall.
Well, I wrote to him and asked whether or not he could fix that, so that, because it's hard for us to review, and it's hard for the applicants to stick their material in, so hopefully we'll do that. And a final announcement, this came up last time when Richard, who's our new person and wonderfully responsible when you're doing your reviews, mentioned that he had looked at the 999 form.
990.
Pardon?
990.
990 form, that's right, sorry. And this is public information that all nonprofits have to provide, and it's quite interesting. It's got all the salaries of the leadership, it's got the budget material, it's got history, it's got a lot of interesting things, and all nonprofits need to file the 990 form, which is an IRS form, by the end of each calendar year, I believe. So just as you're reviewing your organizations, if you have any interest in looking at other ways of doing it, you can find it. Maybe you can send the link. Do you have the link, or is it just through the IRS 990?
Actually, there are a variety of links that you can use to access this form.
Oh, look at that.
Susan and I talked about this last night, so
Right.
I have a handy dandy.
Yes, there we go. All right, wonderful, Barbara, there's the link.
Do you want one now?
Sure.
You can look up your,
Do
you can look up your toy
Do you
store.
happen to have the current list that you're working with too on the applicants? An extra one of those?
You could have this. Yeah, I was just.
You get an extra one of these?
Oh, the extra one, but you can have this one.
Okay, well, we can share.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yes, so this is a terrific tool. And again, it's public, so we're not asking the organizations to submit some additional information, but we could find additional information if we're so inclined on these 990s. Right?
Yes, and given the size of most of the organizations we support, they will be filling out the full 990 form.
Yes.
There is
is
it's
an
listed
easy-
here, there's an e-postcard, which basically says we're still in existence.
Right. Not much news.
Nothing there.
Right, right. So we want the 990
You want the
series
full
return.
form,
That's
yeah.
right. Okay. All right, any other announcements?
Susan, can I just,
Sorry.
on the, back to that daycare program that you were just talking about?
Yes,
It's not a new program, it's an expansion of an existing one.
Right.
So it was probably put into place 2 years ago for 3 and 4-year-olds during the school year. And the expansion now is to birth to 4 years old,
right.
year-round.
And all year round, you're right, that's an important provision. So even though the school isn't in session, a lot of families still need the daycare, so, right, and 0 to 4. And they're expecting, I asked, approximately 50 people?
Yeah.
They don't know, but they were undersubscribed before, so they've been advertising it, and that also is on the website. And if you know of anybody who's got kids in Orleans, if you're a resident of Orleans, but that's all, so that's quite wonderful.
So are there income requirements
No,
or
no.
anything like that?
Resident of
Wow, really?
Orleans, that's
Wow.
absolutely all. And don't even have to be working. Usually those programs are for working families, but this is, people need childcare. And it's a $7,000 grant that goes to the childcare providers, not to the family.
Oh.
So it's a good thing, human services thing.
It strikes me as an extraordinary program. Are other towns doing
Yes.
similar things
Yes.
Yes,
at that level?
No, I think every town probably has different, and every program isn't identical either. But some form of that daycare subsidy is in place. I think Eastham, Brewster,
Provincetown.
Wellfleet, Provincetown. I think Chatham too, but I'm not totally sure.
Wow.
Wow.
And
And
as
the
I-
way that money flows, there's no tax impact for the,
Right, and the other hidden benefit is that, of course, the daycare providers, the licensed daycare providers, are employing people that are living in this area. So, I mean, that's a good
Right.
sort of support for them, yeah.
wow,
Right.
awesome.
Yep.
Win-win-win.
Yep.
Fabulous, really.
And the other announcement is that the Nauset Regional High School revisions are now complete, and they're supposed to be absolutely gorgeous, and you're all invited to go look at the new high school renovations. And there's space for community meetings, for people to meet, and it's, the woman from the school board who was talking about it was waxing eloquently about what a gorgeous new building it is and how flexible it is and everything. And there are guided tours on Saturdays if you want to, or you can just go. If you don't have the kids, you can just go and look at what the wonderful.
I don't think it's that easy. I think access into the schools is controlled,
Let's hope
so,
so.
Yes, yes.
so you do have to
You
make an arrangement,
appointment.
yeah.
That's right. But if you want to look at the outside, you can drive by.
Right.
Okay, anybody else have any other announcements? Okay, the other announcement, sorry, I keep thinking I'm done, is that we had in our agenda that the Navigator program was going to come and do their presentation, but they are unable to come today. Fran tracked them down after many attempts,
Yeah, I can say a few things about that.
but they're not coming, so they're off the
They're
agenda.
not coming today. They will be here in 2 weeks in the presence of Jennifer Farron, who I know from previous work. And I think that, I don't know what else to say. It was very difficult to get everybody on board around times and personnel who could be available. so.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your perseverance, and I'm sorry they can't come today, but we will still be discussing.
So the 29th of this month at 11:15, she will be here.
11:15, okay, so we'll put that on the agenda. Okay, thank you for doing that.
Well, you're welcome.
All right, next is the approval of the minutes. Anybody have any comments or questions, concerns about the minutes?
Move we approve.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Barb. Wonderful minutes, yet again. Okay, so new business. We're going to continue the committee review. And we have Hack, who does that? Oh, you want to do yours first? Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Housing Assistance Corps released their fundraising results. They raised about $170,000, of which our grant is part of, so they expressed their public thanks for that. There's sort of like two parts to this organization. One is the kind of big activities that they're involved in, which is acquisition of properties. They are involved in developing affordable housing around the Cape. They're a co-developer for Governor Prince, for example. They own and operate some emergency shelters. And they also just raised about $5 million in a capital campaign, expand the balance sheet, which will expand all those things, including periodic acquisition of land or property, which could then be developed in the future. They also get involved in, now this is more towards individuals, to the actual homeowner, potential homeowner. They offer direct assistance loans. They also offer access to low-interest loans, and they have a number of lending partners, like Cape Cod 5, for example, that collaborate with them in offering, I should say, digestible funding options. They manage the Orleans rental assistance program and other programs like that around the Cape. And they also get involved in a lot of informational work for individuals who are thinking about buying a home, who are having trouble staying in their home, who literally are looking for financial literacy. So that entire gamut of informational work for individuals is the other facet of this group. I mean, Housing Assistance Corp., I mean, for want of a better term, is sort of like the boiler room of affordable housing creation and sustaining around Cape Cod. So that's, I see no reason to question their need and their grant request.
And they're asking for
Let's see,
11,000?
yeah, it's 11,000, yeah.
Same.
11,000 this year, 10,000 last year.
10,000 last year, okay. Great, thank you. Any questions about their work?
I had a chance to visit them in another capacity. Thank you, Fran. I mean, that's a complicated organization, and you described it really well. The whole thing is extremely impressive in terms of the professionalism and quality of work that they do.
You know, and I just want to say that after I had spoken with some people there, I used your recommendation about the 994 and accessing that, and that helped me sort of drill down. And actually, I have a lot more questions that I want to ask them that wouldn't necessarily be germane to what we're doing, but I'm on the Affordable Housing Trust
Oh,
Committee, and it's going to help me understand, you know, how this place works.
right.
There's some interesting things on their balance sheet now, but bottom line, that's a very useful document. And that's-
And I also should have mentioned, if you're on several committees, you only need to do one conflict of interest form. You don't have to do them for every committee, just one.
Okay.
Once you've said you're not in conflict, you're not in conflict.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Susan, can I just chip into, probably everybody knows this, but the CEO of HAC is an Orleans resident. So there is that connection as well.
yeah. I think what's so impressive is that they really understand the continuum, you know, all the way from shelters to trying to help people with homes, you know, so I mean, it isn't just a shelter, it isn't just rental assistance, it's kind of a really important continuum of service.
You know, to that point, I mean, they have new offices. and,
Here?
Well, yes, they do, but they have an office in Hyannis, which is a new one for them. And they have walk-ins.
Yeah,
And so somebody who is in need or in crisis can
Right.
literally walk in
Right.
and get help. And while I was down there, I saw a couple of different families walk in. Look like single moms with
Yeah.
kids in tow.
yeah. But they have an office here, they said, they've opened an office in Orleans now,
Right
right?
on.
They do, I haven't visited that one. It's a
That's
it's a small
down on Rock
storefront,
Harbor
but-
Road,
Yeah.
where used to be an insurance building.
Right.
Just past Stones.
No, that's
Is that Lower Cape? I thought that was HAC.
not, Hack is on 6A.
They just moved, I think.
They're across from, whatever, they're near the ice cream place,
Yeah.
below and whatever.
Emilio
They're practically
and-
next door to that.
That's right, they've got a new office up
You're
there.
talking about
We're talking
Is
about.
that Lower Cape
the,
Outreach? No.
where's my matrix, the other one? We fund them.
The other housing group.
It's an H. Homeless.
Homeless Prevention Council.
Okay.
Is on
That's the
Rock
one,
Harbor.
right, on Rock Harbor Road, okay. Okay, any questions, anything about HAC?
Great organization.
Great
I
organization.
totally agree.
Okay, all right. Next up?
Sustainable Cape?
Did you do Sustainable Cape? You haven't yet. Are you ready for
Yeah, I did
Sustainable
that
Cape?
last time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I don't have it down. Did you?
I'm sure we talked about that last,
I don't even have it in the minutes. I don't think you did, Fran.
Really?
because I
I
have.
think there was some
About
reason you said
contacting
you
them.
wanted to defer it because you wanted to contact them first?
No, I think that was housing assistance course.
No, because we didn't find Sustainable Cape. Remember, they didn't have a phone number or something? We were trying to
Well, yeah,
contact
but I
them?
eventually got
Yeah.
their submission. Well, if you want to talk about them, that's fine.
All right, well, if you wouldn't mind reminding us, because I don't have it in the
Sorry,
minutes either.
Yeah. The Orleans Farmers Market is the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about them. That they're an organization that sees not just food, access to food, but access to fresh food. They view it as sort of a two-pronged effort. They want more people to be able to afford foods which help them, and they want to help people by directing them towards the type of food that is a healthier lifestyle. They even have an element of their initiative is to teach younger people in schools about these things, to try to sort of set the foundation for people thinking about eating. And it's interesting that we've been funding them for a while, and they've been talking about the things that we're reading about in the paper now, or in the news, about trying to direct people's attention towards a more healthy lifestyle in terms of eating. But they have several programs which offer supplements to even people who are in SNAP, for example. They can get additional supplements to direct them to food, which is not always that cheap relative to the processed food that we find on the shelf in the supermarket. I mean, I think they're sort of a unique organization in that they're very missional and they're thinking about this. And so they're only, and interestingly, they have not increased their ask for 3 years, which I didn't say anything to them, but I endorse their application.
All right, any questions?
I would have a comment. I had some difficulty with the application, not with anything that they're asking, but just the flow of the there was so much data in there that I think it could have been simplified in their presentation, but, you know, maybe that's nitpicking. I certainly endorse everything that they're doing. It just, maybe it's me, but I had trouble with, it was just packed with information. That was hard to see how it related to their goals and objectives.
Yeah, I can't speak to, that's kind of where their thinking's organized, which is, I think they're trying to do a lot of different things to
Yeah, it's not,
support these goals.
it doesn't relate to the fact that they're certainly entitled to every dollar that they're applied for.
You know, I think the smaller organizations are less good with sort of grant writing.
Yeah.
They don't have the expertise oftentimes. But I think we're going to move to, you know, is there something else we could do to help these organizations apply? And I suppose we could suggest that, you know, a 2, 3-page, 5-page application is sufficient, that we don't need to know everything about everything. So, you know, we might want to think about that. But I agree, some get into narratives, you think they're cutting and pasting from a whole lot of other things, and it's a little hard, the flow's a little disorganized.
Yeah, I had a couple of small questions that I don't know if you can answer or not, but on the section, I think it's their second page, they're talking in the third full paragraph about $58,700 through farmers. The Farmers Market Coalition has distributed more than $58,700 through Farmers Market Food Access Programs. And I was wondering, do you have any idea how that's distributed? It just seems like a lot of money. And they said later on, we fund these food programs through fundraising. So it just seemed very, like a lot of money and really good.
I'm wondering if that is kind of a total, I mean, for example, they have this Project Gratitude nutrition incentive program for veterans. That's one avenue. And then they've got other things, they have this a thing called SNAP Bonus Match Program. My bet is that when you start adding these things up, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's,
I was just wondering if they have an application process, or if they just you know, say, have people, they decide people in need. I mean, it's just I just thought it was a huge amount of money for a relatively small organization. And the fact that they're fundraising to fund that was really just like 10% of their budget. So anyway, that was just.
I can't
okay.
say.
So I will
No,
make it
it's
as a comment.
It's a good question, and I really didn't get that granular.
It's kind of getting into the weeds. And then I also was interested in, I think it was on the next page, they were talking about their Food is Medicine program. And they said, Sustainable Cape currently is wrapping our fifth year of operating the Food is Medicine program, which delivers produce weekly to low-income patients with one of 8 qualifying diagnoses. And I was just, and then they go on to say some of them are mental and some of them are physical. But again, it just seemed very interesting to me. This is just a comment. It seemed interesting to me
Which ones are
that they
eligible?
are actually looking at medical DSM, whatever it is now, diagnoses in order to make decisions about their program. So bringing in, you know, the medical part of it too. I just thought that was fascinating. Neither
No,
here
I
nor there in
think
funding, but it's
their-
just interesting.
Their mentality is a little ahead of their
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
in the sense that they've been focused on nutrition and what is really involved in in nutrition for the average person,
Right.
or what could be involved in it as a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even as an enhancement to, say, a healing process. If someone is ill, it makes sense.
It does, yeah, it's wonderful.
So,
Well, there is a fair amount of research to suggest that, you know, nutrition is tied to brain development.
Exactly.
So, you know, they are ahead of the curve to speak.
I think so, yeah.
Well, but you're noticing it in all the other food programs too now, that they're beginning to talk about nutritious food and not just filling up a basket of, you know, potato chips and things.
Right.
So I think the consciousness has moved, not so much to behavioral health, that's,
Right.
I think, very out front, but
Mhm.
physical health,
Right.
like, you know, diabetes and other kinds of health-related issues. So,
Yeah,
Food
I also
related
think that it can become a deterrent, because if they're only looking at 8 diagnoses, or if that's the way they're directing something, then that means there may be a lot of people in the fringes that can't get it. But again, that's just a minor detail of their
Well, you
application.
can ask them, we have a phone number
No,
now.
that's all right, just
Yeah.
curious.
All right, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Good.
Okay, so we have been through the list, I think, with the exception of the Outer Cape.
Yes.
Is that everybody? Everybody's reported out? Okay,
So this 11,000 for Housing Assistance Corporation, is that part of the 185,700?
yes.
It is, okay.
Hope so.
So but here there's a blank. Oh, that's for 27. Okay, right.
There are 2 organizations we did not hear from that we funded last year.
Right. Okay, so I thought it might be a good idea, since we don't have any more to review until the next time, to start thinking about how we want to go about doing these kinds of assessments, because clearly we're impressed with all of the work, and we're pretty much impressed with the amount of money that they're asking for, as much as we can understand that. So I'm wondering whether or not we wanted to have a dialogue today, a little bit about what sort of evaluative criterion might we be using for our allocation recommendations, and if there's any other information that would help you as we go through this process. Because what we did last time is we start at the top, you know, and go down through it and remind each other what we've said, and then look at the budget amount, and then see where we are at the end. And we will, you know, presumably, if we get some more, we'll certainly review them. But at the moment, it looks like we're at about 180, is it 5? 7, yeah.
And Dick, I'd like to, actually, this is sort of directed to you, because you brought up the 990 form idea. Is this something that we should just pull this for everybody? And have it as a common reference point, not necessarily the determining feature, but you picked up that information about all that cash that was sitting on that program.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and while they may have, I think I think everybody came away amicably, but my bet is that left an impression on them, that we saw that. And that maybe they'll use their cash better, hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyway, having said that, is that a step that is potentially useful for everybody, for each program?
I think I think that with your comments and just my general feeling about our application this year is that not asking anything except what their budget is was a problem for me, to not know anything about their financial situation.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about, you know, adding questions to the application and what we were asking for before, I just realized that we were always getting apples and oranges, and it was really hard to make any comparisons at all. So I think having our responsibility, whichever organizations we're assigned to, we pull the 990s and look at them. I think we have to draw a line somewhere about getting into the weeds of their operations, as opposed to looking at their general income and revenue and expenses. But I really like the idea, because it's a common form that gives us similar information. And of course, they can interpret what those different lines mean. But I think looking at it generally, and that way we don't have to ask the organizations to recreate numbers. The danger, which Susan mentioned to me last night, we were talking on the phone about this a little bit, is the information old? Is it current? And, you know, if we have questions, I think we owe it to the organizations to call them and ask them the questions, as opposed to just thinking that everything that's on that paper, jump into conclusions about what's on the paper, which is exactly perfectly what you did, was that you saw a red flag and you contacted them and asked them about it and then got back to us about it. And I think if we have that consciousness of just not assuming that every number means what we think it means, I'm all for it. I think it's a really good idea.
Those 990s are typically filled out by their accountant, who is quite possibly a CPA. So, I mean, I think we can feel comfortable about the quality of that information. And I really like the point you've just made, because I think we need to balance how much of a burden we place on these applicants. And if we pull the 990, we've got quality information and lessen their burden to incorporate a lot of that financial information in a longer application form.
And it is public. I mean, I was concerned about digging into their stuff if they don't know that they're doing that, and that whether we'd have to tell them that we're doing this. But this is public information. Anybody can look at anybody's 990.
Fair,
So, yeah, so I think it's a great idea. And, I mean, we could do that now before we start our review and add it to our, our understanding of the organization. I had looked at, because I think if we start is this organization meeting a need? Yes. Is this, how do we get it? Start digging into it. We don't really know. But I was asked, Barb, and I thought this was interesting, to look at their entire budget and then in a sense, the proportion of what we're doing. So if we're giving $2,000 to an organization that's making $50,000 or $500,000, I think it sort of matters a little bit if we have to start cutting. Now, again, we don't have to yet, but if we have to, I think if we have some sense of they'd sort of be okay without us, as opposed to an organization that, it's like 50% of their request is kind of, I mean, they desperately need this money to provide their services. So looking at the entire budget and then and then their request to us might give us a sense of need. That might be a variable that we want to add.
Well, I really like that point. I mean, Mass Appeal is an example of what you're
Yes,
talking about.
that's what made me
They
think of it.
operate with a $62,000 a year budget.
Right.
And I have tried to get a sense in my head when we're dealing with something like the Housing Assistance Corporation, which is I mean, those are big numbers, both on their balance sheet, their payroll, for example. And I think that helps with the point you just made,
Yeah.
too.
Are there any other kind of evaluative criterion that you can think of that we could start thinking about as we plow through the list again?
I would look at, again, if we have to scale down on our allocations. I think looking at the number of Orleans people who are served in relation to the total number of people that they're serving might be a good indication, or an indication also of, I mean, I'm a little reluctant to say it because an organization like Big Brother, Big Sister, they don't serve a lot of our Orleans people, but they don't serve a lot of people. And so I think it has to be relative to the overall number of people that they're serving. And I don't know, do we ask how many people they
Yes.
serve,
We
or do
do.
we just ask how many Orleans people?
Just Orleans.
Just Orleans.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
some of them, they provide that information total.
They do.
And others, no.
Well, and again, I think that can be something to pump them up, if there's a high proportion, or there's just a high number. I mean, I thought that the Navigator thing was amazing. They just started and they were serving over 1,000 people already in the first year, from Orleans.
I think that's one of the questions that I had about that, was they had the Navigator program with exactly the same proposal as their entire program. And so I'm not sure the numbers they gave us were for the Navigator
No.
program as opposed to their general program. So-
Unless they're counting anybody who comes in as if they had come through the Navigator program, but they
Yes.
haven't actually served that person other than the healthcare part. That's what I
I mean,
think.
that's information that I think Jennifer should and could provide the
For
next
sure.
time
Right,
she's here.
right.
I do know from previous discussions and work with them I mean, they were surprisingly inundated when they opened that program at the police station.
Right. But it wouldn't be that, the whole program, the Orleans, what's it called? The Outer Cape Health Program services 1,000 people, and the Navigator services 1,000 people. It's the exact same number. So I think they're not really
Yeah.
putting the number of people who came through the Navigator
My
program
bet is
separate.
the former is more reliable than the latter.
Yeah,
The
I think so.
Navigator one probably has a unique number of touch.
Right, so we should, and maybe you can send them
And
a
that's
little
what-
note and say we're
I
gonna
think
ask that question.
That's really
For next
why
time, yeah.
their visit will be valuable
Right.
to understand
Okay.
what's going on.
Okay, the other thing I was thinking about is, do we have any suggestions for modifying the application form for the next round? I think it's been greatly improved. We're talking maybe about, we don't have to do the budget if we're gonna do a 990, we can look at it ourselves. But was there anything else about the application form that you think could be improved?
Nothing other than what we've already discussed, yeah.
Yeah? Anybody else have any suggestions? I think we did ask a couple of people, and they,
Right.
other than being able to read it with a larger font
Yeah.
for those of us who are going to need reading glasses.
I wrote these little notes so long ago, I don't even know what I meant. We ask, what are the specific needs of Orleans clients that will be addressed? We don't ask how the money that we allocate to them will be used. And I'm not asking for a budget, I'm just wondering, how are you going to use the money we give you? I think we actually asked for a budget of how are you going to use our money in a previous application, and they put in, like, we'll be using it for this, this, and this, and I don't know that that's really relevant, but.
Or could you give us an example of what you think might be a good answer to the question you just?
We have an after-school program that has a XYZ component, and we would like to fund that particular component. We are going to use your money for general operating. We're going to use this money to offer a new program, or help fund a new program, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. That's like it.
But again, that, if we were interviewing the people face-to-face, those are the kinds of questions we'd ask. But that's just an idea.
Can I just comment on that idea? I like the idea, and yet I'm also worried that they might feel that they're sort of locked into it, and so since it's such a, it's 8 months maybe by the
That's a
time
really
they,
good point.
by the time they get it,
Yeah.
that maybe an emergency comes up. So the kind of dollars, I think, would be a good question, but not to sort of lock them into, you said you were gonna do $5,000 for X, Y, and Z, and now you're doing A, B, and C. We don't know that, and I don't, so.
I'm going to withdraw my comment. I think you're absolutely right. I think that is restricting them in a way that I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the other points here is we are dealing across the board with well-established, well-regarded 501c3s, charities in our community that we all know at some level. So I think we give a lot of weight to that.
Yes.
They've been around, they've got good people running them. We happen to know a lot of them, either on staff or on the board. So for me, that's kind of a big deal.
That's really good. Susan, there was a term that you used, and I think it might have been in the meeting that we had with the other agencies a year or so ago. Was it trust, or there was some kind of people are moving toward simplifying applications because of was it trust
Yes,
factor or
it is,
something like
it is.
that?
We got it from the Cape Cod Foundation.
Oh, that's what it was.
They,
right.
and they're called trust applications, I think that is the
Oh,
word.
okay. Huh.
And they're aware, and actually the consultant that we had brought in a couple of years ago mentioned it also, that you know, to ask a CEO of a nonprofit organization to spend time, and so much time and energy for $5,000, it almost isn't worth it for them. So that what the foundations are doing is saying, let's assume that these organizations that have been around and providing services, let's assume that they're providing high-quality services, rather than saying, you know, show me your dollars, and actually keep asking them to do quarterly reports, you know. So she was suggesting you do an annual report. You don't ask them to quarterly spend time and energy showing you how they've spent every dollar. So that they were trying to streamline the process and make it much easier for the nonprofits to kind of do the work that they want to do, which is service delivery, rather than filling out reports. I mean, when I was with the United Way, you know, the joke was that it was flexible money, and that's why you would apply for it. But the time and energy that it took to get even in $15,000 was almost not worth it. But they were the group that would let you buy a fence if you wanted to for some kind of, you know, kiddie program or something that other organizations wouldn't be willing to provide you those dollars. So, you know, I think we want to try to make it as easy as possible, and I think the town now only asks for, is it biannual? Remember when we talked to the procurement person, originally they were doing it quarterly?
Right.
And then you had to fill out all these forms and everything, and now they're trusting that the organizations are spending it right. And if not, you can always get it back, I suppose, but you're not monitoring every single penny.
Yeah, I think, and if these organizations in our community that, again, I think we know well, start to fail or start to not do what we thought they were doing in the first place, we're going to know about it. And I also think this $7,000 a year child care stipend is a good example of simplifying things. I mean, there isn't, 10 pages of requirements and demand for
Right.
tax returns and pay stubs and
Right.
all that sort of stuff. I think we live and work in an environment here where trust is warranted.
Yeah. Well, and I think you want to worry a little bit that the money isn't going out willy-nilly. The taxpayers can certainly say, you know, hey, aren't you checking how your money's being spent? And I think we are, but I don't think we have to, you know, do so much paperwork. I mean, sometimes the bureaucracy is.
Yeah, I'm absolutely confident there's more than one person in our community that would attend the town meeting, raise their hand and ask that question.
That's right.
But,
Right.
Right.
it is what it is.
Well, and I suppose there's the advantage now that we're not independent anymore, so it's not really us, it's going to be the Department of Health. The Board of Health is going to have to worry about that, and the town are going to be doing the procurement, you know, not us. So, but, okay. So we pretty much like the form the way it is, as long as we get expandable boxes. We don't need to ask anything else, okay.
I don't think we need to ask anything else, but I had two organizations of mine ask me, where do we submit, how do we submit this application? And it's, you know, it's like, the email address is right here on the top of the form, but I'm wondering if at the bottom we should just have a little thing that says,
Have it again.
submit application
Yeah,
to
click here.
this way.
Yeah.
Oh, at the end.
So at the very end,
Yeah,
just so that there
yeah,
aren't
yeah.
any questions. It's redundant, but
I think that's great.
2 out of, 5 or however many organizations I had.
Yeah.
One called me and one when I contacted them.
Even though
just
it
asked
says
me-
right there.
Well, it has the address, but it doesn't say specifically that's who you send it to.
Right.
So,
Right,
and I'm not
yeah.
even
Well,
sure if it
it'd
needs to
be-
be sent to Alex, to her attention. So I will check with her and see specifically what it should say,
Be
but.
super explicit.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it does save time.
Well, and again, this is the first time, so, you know, but I think I think it's great, it's form fillable, and the town has sort of made
I
it
do
so much
too,
easier, but
yeah.
we could,
If we
you know,
could
just have
read
it
it.
at the bottom,
Right.
submit, and then
Submit
boom, you know,
application
you're at the
to-
bottom, you don't have to go back
Right.
to the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then, do we need to have a little PS on there that says we will be reviewing their most recent 990 form? As just, or is that something we just do?
No, I don't know.
It's a public document.
It is a
Yeah.
public document, and I think it might alarm them.
Oh, we wouldn't want that.
Well, I mean, it's just why you're doing that, what else are you gonna be looking for? So
Right.
I think it's a responsibility for us to know that there are these data, and that we should look at them and see if there are any red flags. And then certainly if there are, we can say that's where we got the information from. But mostly, I think it's gonna be sort of backdrop to us for,
I agree.
yeah. And again, the only other evaluative criteria that I was thinking of is, the Charity Navigator, which is another nonprofit. But you can look in their information, and they tell you what they think a good charitable organization is. And they define that as having very low administrative costs compared to service. The trouble with that is that if they do something a little different, like if they're moving offices or if they suddenly have to hire a new person, their administrative costs may go up for that year, and then suddenly that looks like that's out of whack, and it really isn't. It's just that that they're in kind of an unusual situation, but they have to explain it. But I don't, I was thinking, well, we could sort of ask that question generally, but then I thought, no, let's not. If we get the 990, we'll be able to see what the service relationship is to admin costs and fundraising costs. Because when we did ask, in the old days, when we asked for all that information, it was so unclear what we were getting, what they put into administration. Some people thought that meant salaries, some people thought that meant service dollars, and it was just we were getting so many different things, we decided not to do it this round.
Yeah, I mean, in establishing comparability between
Right.
the numbers that organizations are offering us is complicated.
Right, right.
When we had the Pleasant Bay organization come in, the woman who presented, when you asked her what could we do to help with this, she mentioned doing like a pre-application or asking them for a letter of intent or something. I remember when I heard that, I thought you're making more work for yourself than less work. But
I see the point.
I think when that is done, that's usually done to do a front-end eligibility. So rather than fill out the whole application, of course, ours is very short, but usually when you do that, you do a letter of intent, and then if the organization says, no, we're not doing it because you're not physically in Orleans, then they wouldn't apply.
I see.
That's
okay.
usually why grant writers
That's
do
certainly
it,
not
but I don't think
necessary.
that's our situation. But
Right.
she writes lots of grants, so she knows of that, but
Right.
I don't think there's anybody who we would say is ineligible.
So far.
The thought that I've been having is that when they go online to get their application, if there was a step where they had to put their organization name in, so that here there would be a track record of who has
Submitted?
or taken an application, or they're doing it online.
It's all online now.
So you don't know, these organizations that you wonder about, you can't tell through that process.
Well, what we did do is go back to, we did ask the ones who hadn't submitted whether or not they knew that the application process was, available, but you have to worry about the ones that we don't know about, and they don't know about it.
And so the Homeless Prevention Council, is,
They didn't apply this year.
which is,
I contacted
which
both
is
Hadley
shocking, yeah.
and her associate. I left messages with both of them and never got a response. I don't know.
If you wonder if some changes are going on there, they could be a little confused right now.
I mean, I figured calling them twice and reminding them.
Yeah, because they're not missing a deadline. And we were worried the last time that
Yeah.
when you had a deadline, that maybe
Right.
people think, oh, I missed the deadline. But there's no deadline now, so I don't know why they wouldn't apply.
And they asked for large grants.
They
These
did.
were not small grants either, so you would suggest they had,
Wasn't it 25,000?
yeah. And they had increased last year, increased it substantially from the year before, but then they just,
Well, I don't know, you want to give them one more chance? Should I write to them as a letter, as a chair? And physically write a letter and say we're surprised and there is an opportunity still, you haven't missed any deadlines? And then see whether we get any response?
bear in mind, I think our numbers add up to coming in well below capacity to handle last year's number, just
Yeah.
thinking ahead. to have gotten in ahead of them.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, if we got both AIDS support and homeless prevention, we'd be over our $200,000 limit.
Right.
Well, again, AIDS support, I contacted them several times, and they said, the check's in the mail, but we haven't heard anything.
Wow.
I mean, I can call them again if the committee feels that's appropriate.
Well, it doesn't seem to be a very effective effort.
They're both organizations we've funded year after year. They know about us. They know they do annual applications. We've
Yeah.
gotten 2 phone calls.
So you say nay?
Well,
I
you know,
don't care. I mean, it's like, how many times do you?
Yeah, I was kidding earlier about being a little hardcore on this, but I mean, we're offering a relatively scarce resource, money.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that we shouldn't have to chase them to give them money. So I think we're being pretty generous actually with 2 phone calls.
Yeah, I'm gonna cross my fingers that we can find a couple of other organizations that come in and, if we don't, we don't, but,
Well, I guess the
I'm
only.
inclined to agree. I mean, I think, like what Meph was saying, there is that organization you referenced, and there is another local organization that I'm aware of that I will see if they're interested.
yeah.
Well, the only reason I'm somewhat concerned about this is that, we did have, was it Big Brothers and Big Sisters that mailed it, and it went into a mailbox that none of us knew existed, and it sat there until we were done, and then we decided to accept it, even though there was a deadline in those days, because it wasn't their fault. So there's that issue of, could it be sent to the wrong place? It just seems so strange that they would turn down what had been a $25,000.
I'd be more concerned about the toy library, who has said they submitted the application and we haven't got it, than somebody who.
Yeah, but I'll check on that, because I was, all along, I've been wondering whether they were gonna meet all the requirements for this.
The only requirement we
It's a
have is
501c3.
501c3.
Well, it's the serving Orleans residents,
If they serve one,
right, and they're all the way down in Barnstable, so,
maybe they don't.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well.
Well, all right, so you don't think writing a letter to the 2 recalcitrant organizations is necessary? You don't want to chase them? I was thinking maybe with a
You've got one, I've got one.
physical letter rather than a call. I don't know.
Well,
Fran's got somebody to contact, I've got somebody to contact, you might have somebody to contact.
Yeah.
I think we should
Okay.
look for new blood. and-
Okay, okay.
so you go one more time.
No, we won't. We're going to look out for other organizations
Okay.
who might apply. Okay, well, I don't have anything else on new business or old business or other business. Anybody have anything?
Good, thank you, excellent.
Pretty,
Excellent meeting.
what an efficient group we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
Move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Is there a second?
I do.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed? All right.